Hi there. So welcome back to another pick a card. This video I wanted to basically do one to do with crystals, because if you follow me on social media, I've been doing like a series of posts all about working with crystals, my experiences, what you can do, etc, etc. So I kind of wanted to do a pick a card that in some way could relate into crystals. And I was umming and ahhing for ages, and basically this is what I've decided we're going to do it on. We're going to do it on the crystal skulls, and the question is going to be, if you were to hold a crystal skull right now, what would that crystal skull tell you? And I know that obviously crystal skulls, you know what I'm saying? Crystal skulls are basically meant to hold enlightened consciousness in some format. So I'm guessing that, well, let's just keep it open, just totally open. But yeah, like I say, the question is, if you were to hold a crystal skull right now, what would it tell you? And then we'll just explore it all from there. Cool, so I am going to do channeling and stuff in this one, so they're always a bit longer when I do that. So we're just going to do 3 piles, and these are stones from my shamanic meze, because I felt like we should go back into my shamanic stuff for this one. So feel into your intuition. Is the message in message number 1 this stone? Is the message in message number 2 this stone? Or is the message in message number 3 this stone? Okay, so feel into your intuition, and then we're just going to go straight into it with message number 1. Hi guys, so this is everybody that chose message number 1 for, if you were to hold a crystal skull right now, what would it tell you? Okay, so just give me a moment. Just feel into this. So message number 1. Okay, I want to tell you this. The first thing is as soon as you would touch the crystal skull, your hands would start to get really hot, and then your body temperature would really start to heat up. And at first, I get the feeling like you guys would feel a bit almost intimidated by it, and almost a little bit spooked out by it, because instantaneously you'd get such a visceral reaction from holding the crystal skull. But then slowly, or not even slowly, but just within that same moment of almost feeling overwhelmed by this surplus heat that comes out of the skull into your body, you also start to feel incredibly relaxed, a bit like, you know, like when you're sunbathing and the sun just comes over your body and just suddenly every part of your body just almost like just relaxes and just breathes out a sigh of relief. It's kind of that kind of thing. And then as soon as that happens, you also then just suddenly get this, I don't know if you've ever had it in meditation, where you might be meditating and just feel really relaxed, then suddenly it's almost just like bang, you've suddenly got this, like, all your senses are like heightened, and you suddenly feel completely awake in almost like a dream state of meditation, and it just feels like you then have spider senses, and you're suddenly aware of so many different things around you, inside of you. Then literally that starts to happen. The first thing actually the crystal skull would be saying to you is that it's important for wherever you're at in life that you need to, it's a combination of these words, and they mix up differently for, you know, different energies depending on what you are within this section. But essentially it's all to do with the thing about dropping defenses, feeling safe, feeling open, feeling completely like stable and secure within yourself and within the situations, and recognizing that that just because you have the ability to handle a lot in your life doesn't mean that you have to keep putting yourself in situations where you're required to handle a lot. The crystal skull would be telling you that there is now another way opening up for you, and it's a way that essentially allows you to channel your energy in a much more, I'm hearing, executive much more executive way. So it kind of feels like many distractions, like I'm seeing like a vision. I'm actually even hearing it. I'm hearing like all of these bees, the sound of like buzzing of bees everywhere. And I get the feeling that you've had so many different things going off in your life or off in your mind. It's creating almost like this, I don't know, it's almost like a low grade irritation to do with whatever it is that you're wanting to actually focus on. It's like things come in to kind of distract. It's like, you know, when like a bee's near you, or let's say a wasp now, it's more like a wasp. You're trying to eat this amazing meal, you're outside in the sun, you're just wanting to enjoy it. And this wasp keeps like coming in and you keep having to like flick it away. And it's that really irritating wasp type of sound. I'm kind of like seeing a vision of that. And I'm being told that essentially, so weird, but let me just say it how it's coming out. If you choose a different meal, the wasp won't be there. You won't attract the wasp. If you make different choices, people, things and situations won't come in to irritate or distract you or try and absorb some of your energy. And it kind of feels like there's this whole kind of thing of like you changing how you open up to certain situations, scenarios and people in your life, where I feel like some of you have been shutting down people, situations and opportunities which actually would be super healthy for you. And at the same time as you've shut down some healthy ones, you've actually opened up to some unhealthy ones. And again, it's kind of like this almost like undercurrent in your soul's pattern of keep almost being like this warrior that keeps pushing through things, or this really powerful person that keeps helping other people, but helping other people so much that it actually is, I'm not actually hearing that it's draining, but it's getting to a point of it's causing some irritation to you. And actually some of you might not be aware that you're feeling irritated towards a person or a situation that's doing this to you, but you might just notice that you become slightly more irritable sometimes. And that irritability, I'm being told, is almost like coming from certain people, situations and scenarios that are kind of still kind of buzzing around you a little bit, but they no longer need to be there. Okay, the crystal skull then would like start flashing, because I'm seeing flashes. I'm seeing like loads of teeth and like dental structures and kind of like the TMJ, the jaw structure, and then like the sinuses and then like the cranial. And like you'd see all these flashes of images as the crystal skull gives it you. And then you would get this sensation that there's something really important about you. Like the teeth are symbolizing creating strong foundations that have longevity, that last a lifetime. And at the same time, then you get these images of kind of like Saturn, the energy of Saturn, again, discipline, commitment, all of that coming in. But at the same time, it's like these teeth are being whitened. So it kind of feels as well like the crystal skull is showing you that there's a new way for you to be having more stability and discipline and commitment in your life, which actually comes with almost like, I want to say almost like a feminine touch. It's kind of got something that's a bit more artistic about it. It's like, it's less heavy, it's more enjoyable essentially. And then I'm being shown that when you bring in this more, if you open up to bringing in some more joy in whatever it is that you're trying to create foundations and structure in, then it's suddenly going to basically be opening up all your airways, because I can see that with your sinuses, they start to open up more and they let more oxygen in, and that in turn allows your cranial to kind of get a better cranial sacral rhythm, like this rhythm within your body down your spine. And again, it just keeps showing ease and flow are here for you now. But it is definitely about just being very, very conscious about, and it's that image again of what are you choosing to eat. You've got a menu and there's many different things, but depending on the choices that you make with what you choose to eat from that menu will depend what certain situations and scenarios are attracted to you. A bit like obviously like what we're seeing with the wasps coming around. If you choose something super sweet, then there's a good chance that wasps are going to come around. But maybe if you choose something a bit more, let's say, I don't know, like a green salad, there's less chance of attracting those wasps in the same way. And it's this kind of thing about like healthy choices, and it's something as well about And the crystal school would tell you, just be wary of anything which is immediate gratification right now. Because again, I'm being shown with the sugar, it's like a sugar hit. You crave the sugar because it gives you a sudden high, but then it actually has like a massive draining effect afterwards, and it sets off all your like your pancreas and stuff like that to have to work in a chaotic type of pattern. And that then brings in some chaotic situations into your life. Now, obviously, I'm saying this all as like metaphorical, so these are all just images. I'm not saying that this is exactly the way it is, but this is the scenarios, the images of it. And it's that kind of thing. So be careful of instant gratification, because some things that potentially might come with instant gratification in the not too distant future, I'm being shown, and the crystal school would show you, would come with some more chaotic outcomes, essentially. And there's something about building things slow and steady, but that feel good in the moment, that is actually going to have some real longevity with everything that's kind of going off. So, cool. Let's just go straight into cards now, otherwise we can stay channeling forever. Right, let's see. Okay. So... also, the crystal school would be telling you or showing you that you actually have, in the same way that you have this actually ability to touch things and to have imprints and information come through you from whoever's thing that you've touched. So let's say, I know that some psychics will do it where they'll hold somebody's ring or they'll hold a watch, and then they can suddenly start to tell you all about the person that was wearing the ring or that was holding the watch. You have, and I can't actually think what that psychic skill is called, but you actually have that ability on a psychic level. But that this also means that you're actually very, very sensitive to your environment, and I think that's something else the crystal school would want to tell you right now. And again, I suppose this reminds me of like the choices that you make will cultivate the environment that you're in. And because you are so sensitive and aware of the environment around you and all the other different imprints, so all the other different faculties, consciousnesses, you know, subconsciousnesses, people's consciousness, or the whole lot of it, you're really, really sensitive to that at the moment in your environment. And that's why it's kind of more important than ever to be getting almost like a healthy architecture to do with what you're letting in and what you're saying no to. And it really is an architecture, because it's not about, I'm not hearing it's about protecting or blocking, and I'm not, and I suppose I am hearing it's about being open, but I don't know, it's more about, I've got this phrase, life design. That's what's coming through, life design. The crystal school really wants you to be aware that whatever you're doing right now, it really is going to be having like lasting effects on the life that you are designing. And that's why it's saying to you to just be that little bit more conscious about what you are choosing. And also, therefore, the cause and effect of, depending on what you choose, will reflect on, therefore, what comes into your life. But yeah, sorry, going as well back to your environment, about how you're really sensitive to your environment. I'm actually seeing that as well. This is where your intuition is going to be quite heightened in the not so distant future. And it's going to be really important that you pay attention to what you are intuitively feeling or what you are intuitively thinking, because it can kind of work both ways. Right, I'm going to pull these over first, then we'll go for some more later. So the first one we have is the Mountain. Totally love these cards. These are something called like the Divas of Creation or something like that. I absolutely love them. Oh, and this one's called the Guardian. So Mountain and the Guardian. Then we have Strength. And we have Five of Wands. Love these two, they're so cool. And then we have, wow, the Devil. Okay, I'm actually being told that this isn't the devil. This is actually Pan, the Greek god Pan, or like Dionysus. That's what's coming through actually with the Devil card. And then we have here Four of Wands. King of Cups. I'm not hearing that we read any of these reversed, by the way. I love that turquoisey blue. That's just also, there's some kind of native Red Indian energy that's around you guys, and there's something to do with turquoise, the crystal as well, that's really powerful for you guys at the moment. But I'm actually being shown, sorry, this is the Ten of Wands, but I'm actually also being told that with the crystal skull would be encouraging you to basically get this balance to do with your mind and your emotions and your energy and your physical body. There's something about needing to gain a bit of balance in that area, because the more balance that you gain in that area, the more that you'll be able to work creatively with tension. And I am hearing that there are some moments of tension that are on the horizon, but they absolutely can just be very much a creative tension if you flow with it. I'm hearing that that's really, really important. It's really, really important at this moment in time that you are, what would I say? Essentially, you're being super flexible is kind of what I'm seeing, because it's kind of like you'll make choices, and as a result of the choices, naturally there'll be consequences, good and bad, and a mixture of all in between. And then it's about reassessing, reflecting on what's happened with the choices that you made, the actions that you took, and the outcome that you got. It's then about coming to this place about almost like having a real kind of like powwow moment with yourself. It's like I'm seeing a vision of, say, a Native American chief in like a, you know, one of those wigwams, and the Native American chief is basically used as a counselor in this moment in time. And I see like this young Native American male come in and essentially talk about the situation that he's in, and then the Native American chief is there to basically help him just talk through it and help him, almost like motivational interviewing. It's like the Native chief keeps asking the Red Indian all of the questions that allow the Native American Red Indian to get to a point of consolidation and resolution within himself about how to move forward next, taking on board everything that has previously happened and what is learnt about it, and therefore what is the best potential actions and thought processes to do next, so that essentially he can break a cycle that he's been in. And that's very much kind of what I see going off with you guys. And I do really feel like there's a huge amount of support around you, and this is something that Crystal Skull would be telling you. The Crystal Skull would really be kind of, and it wouldn't, because this is the amazing thing, the Crystal Skull wouldn't just be telling you that you have this amazing amount of support and protection and guidance around you at the moment. The Crystal Skull would kind of be activating that feeling within you as you're holding the crystal. So almost as you're holding the crystal and you're getting these downloads that you are basically protected, that you are on a journey, but this journey is sacred, and this journey has a positive outcome and is even an enjoyable journey for the most part of it. You would also really be feeling all of this. So I'm also getting that as you're holding the crystal skull, your root chakra is just kind of creating this incredible like pulsing sensation, and it kind of makes you feel like, I don't know if you've ever really felt it, like you feel like the soles of your feet are getting pulled into the earth, like they just feel like sucked onto the earth, but it feels a really reassuring feeling. Or some people can have it where they feel like tingling coming out of their feet, or the feet feel cold or hot. You would be having this kind of sensation as a result of your root chakra being activated and feeling strong, stable, protected, safe, and just powerful. And that would all be coming through with obviously the intuitive guidance that the crystal skull is giving you. So I would also say that if this is resonating with you, it's definitely as well about just looking into, you can either do meditations with the root chakra, but I think really the biggest thing is like every situation that you get into, from hearing like the next 6 weeks, when it comes to a choice point about what to do, it's about getting to this place of reflection and consolidation within you, so that then when you decide to make an action and take an action, you feel incredibly calm, still and powerful, and you just innately know this is the next step. So there's nothing rushed about this energy on any level, but it is an energy that's almost having to almost sit in the eye of a storm at some moments. So again, this thing about reactivity, the reactivity should not be a part of any of your decisions, because the crystal skull would also be giving you this awareness that when you're making any decisions out of reactivity, your root chakra becomes incredibly it becomes like, I want to say neurotic, but it's what I'm seeing it do. Basically, it starts pulsing in a completely erratic, like discoherent frequency, not only to do with its own rhythm, but also to do with the rest of your 12 chakra system. So essentially, when you start to make, I don't know, reactive or emotional decisions very, very quickly, then what you're actually doing is you're making decisions and choices when your root chakra is suddenly destabilizing not only your root chakra, but all your other 12 chakras. And that essentially could be creating an environment that then causes other frequencies of similar, I don't know, dissonance to come in and start infiltrating the choices and decisions that you're making on some level. Even if it's just as a cause and effect and a law of attraction effect. So that's something that you would really, really be, it's almost like by holding this crystal skull, you would just like innately be getting this like visceral understanding to do with all of this. So essentially, by the time you put that crystal skull down, I'm hearing that basically you would probably have a couple of nights where you had some really interesting dreams that reinforced a lot of what the crystal skull told you. Some of the dreams you would remember and some of the dreams you wouldn't, but it wouldn't matter because it would still be permeating all levels of your consciousness and changing all of your energy fields. And then basically after a week of, you know, having held this crystal skull, you would have a completely different frequency, and almost like the colour of your root chakra would have slightly changed as well, because of a result of all of this greater awareness and understanding. That's really freaking cool. I love that. I really, really love that. And I do just want to say this because this one's kind of pointing out quite a little bit here. With this devil card here, which I'm being told is more like Pan, Dionysus. And I think Dionysus is something like, I don't know, like a god of like almost like abundance, but I think sometimes it can be over the top, like ecstatic feelings of like one thing or another, like over the top in some way, but almost like ecstatic joy is essentially what I'm getting. But it's really interesting because with this ecstatic joy, we also then have here like the 10 of Wands, and the crystal skull would kind of be I'm hearing that as you were holding it, it would be doing this thing to almost like a binaural beat type of thing is what it would be doing unconsciously to your brain waves, because it's kind of like there's a slight little misconnect between you completely having some ecstatic experiences in life, or let's just put it this way, like real feelings of openness and joy and love and oneness and all of that kind of thing, and it's slightly blocked basically by this 10 of Wands. And this is so bizarre, but I'm just going to say it as it comes out. What I'm actually hearing is the way that some of you were born into this world, there was a certain amount of, you were suddenly in this space of like Dionysus, like exaltated joy. You're really excited about this, you're really up for this. But then something was happening while you were being born, and it's going to be different things for each of you. So if I just give a few examples, but please recognize I am not saying that this is your exact one. You have to feel into it for yourself, and you might get something very different also, so trust it. But what I'm kind of like hearing is that as you were being born, it was either like your mother started to panic, or whoever was around your mother at that time started to panic. And because again, we've been through this before, you're really sensitive to your environment, that started to make you worry because you're feeling amazing, and then suddenly it feels like, woof, I don't know, that amazing energy of joy is kind of being pulled like a rug from underneath you, and it kind of completely unsettled you in some way. And it sort of slightly set up this kind of, I don't know, for some of you, a slight apprehension to allowing yourself to go into places of ecstatic joy and love and bliss and all of that. And for some of you, it actually created an actual fear of going into joy, abundance and bliss. So it's different for each of you, so you'll have to feel into where you are. But essentially it was because although you were in a great place when you were starting to basically stimulate those contractions in your mother's womb and all of that kind of thing, something then happened between those contractions beginning and you actually being physically born into the world, which set up a slight, like from a slight concern about living and feeling the full emotions of life to like a real fear of living and feeling the full emotions of life. And like I say, it's because something in your environment, it could have been your mother, it could have been the father, it could have been the people around you, it could have even been what was currently going on in the world at that moment in time. It can be so many different things, but something about that then suddenly just set you off on like, oh, I'm not sure I totally feel safe to do with this. And anyway, what then happens is when you hold this crystal skull, the crystal skull almost like changes this, almost like in a binaural beat type of way, in a really unconscious way, while it's giving you all of these downloads and energy healings and all the rest of it. It also works at kind of like, it's almost like I see it like a wave, you know, like a sine wave, you know, when it's like, you know, like this. It's almost like it's a sine wave, and it just basically, I don't know, it just starts to slowly take you out of that almost discoherent frequency to do with exaltated joy, and helps to get you into the flow and the sequence of exaltated joy. So again, by the time this session is over with this crystal skull, and again, I really feel like with this power you'd have quite a few dreams after too, that would be consolidating everything that you'd kind of gone through. Then this would also be something where you're actually way more open. You're open to having like these kind of like exaltated ecstasy type of feelings, emotions, ideas, beliefs, all of that kind of thing. It kind of opens you up to all of that. But I am also hearing that that would be something that's a bit more of a longer journey. So it would be a process depending on how much you had almost blocked yourself to do with that type of energy. Would potentially depend on how long it would take you to integrate that type of energy. But let's say slowly over a course of 6 months, and then 2 years, and then 5 years, you end up being in a completely different place to do with being able to take on these more higher exaltated emotions of, let's say, true love, true oneness, true bliss, true joy, all of that kind of thing. But also the thing is, the crystal skull recognises that this is also part of what's been going off with your root chakra, and therefore about you making choices sometimes, choices that don't bring you into a state of joy, or choices where you're almost in a massive state of joy and love and oneness, but then it's a bit too much, so you unconsciously do something which slightly reduces that frequency. Again, like I'm going back to that image of like you're on that beautiful sunny day, you're having this amazing meal, everything feels amazing, and then this just little wasp keeps coming in, just basically pissing you off, and it just slightly distracts you from the full enjoyment of that moment. It kind of links into that again. And anyway, yeah, the crystal skull recognises that this is in order to help you integrate this, heal this, and move forward with this in the most nurturing way. Because I'm getting that this crystal skull is being, everything it's doing to you, it's not doing it radically. It's not like, you know, with the Five of Wands, which can be quite a harsh energy, but then we have the King of Cups, which is a much more soft, I don't know, loving kind of supportive energy. And I do really feel like this crystal skull would really be helping you harmonise all of these different things within you in a really supportive, nurturing way. So because things were going to be so supportive and nurturing, they would just happen at a slightly slower rate, let's say, and that is purely just so that everything becomes so easy, and it helps to bring this more flowing kind of state into you. And I don't know why, but this Strength card, even though it says Strength, I'm actually not actually reading it as Strength. I just see it as two things blending together. So it feels like the sun and the moon blending together, masculine and feminine blending together. And I do really see this as well, like with the Four of Wands. But what I'm also getting is, because can you see these rabbits, they've both got their heads almost like coming together. It kind of feels as well like the crystal skull would be telling you that something really important to do with your relationship areas of your life, in whatever context, work, family, romantic, I don't know, like society, because we have all these different relationships. It would be saying to you that it's really, really important that you know the flow within relationship dynamics. And what the crystal skull means by that is that if you go head to head with something, there's going to ultimately be a clash, and you get far more of a merging and of a blending and of a uniting if one person goes head and one person goes heart. And it doesn't matter which way round you do it, and it can constantly be happening within that relationship or that conversation, but it's just like, to keep the energy flowing, it needs to make sure that it's almost like there's somebody talking and then there's somebody listening, and then there's somebody asking a question and there's somebody answering, but then there's also this flip part, so that it doesn't constantly stay in that dynamic of the same person asking the questions and the same person listening. It then always has this like mutual beneficial type of thing, where you then keep flipping that dynamic. So at one point, I don't know, you're going all in the head way and the other person's going in the heart way, and then at another point you're going all in the heart way and they're going in the head way, and that just allows this conversation and this connection to keep developing. And again, it's kind of like this idea of like, sometimes it's better to let somebody else be right, even if you think that you are right, because it maintains that connection. And as long as this doesn't always happen, like you don't always constantly have to make that person right and you wrong, as long as, again, there's this mutual kind of flipping between the two, then this actually can become an incredibly healthy dynamic. And it's a really healthy way to develop a lot of your relationships and your communications with others, and even with yourself, I'm hearing. So it's kind of like this constant, almost like magnets, switching the polarity of where you are within a relationship with where you are within the conversation of that relationship. So it's almost having that dynamic diversity so that you can keep the flow going. So if, for example, two people both keep coming in with, yeah, but I think, no, but I think, yeah, but I think, no, but you think, it could be better if I think, oh, and I feel, or yeah, I feel and you're thinking. I don't know, it's like this beautiful exchange of two different energies that can essentially work together as one while holding different opinions and different frequencies to do with the subject. But it's understanding almost that alchemy of the blending of opposites coming together, and the constant ability that those opposites can be constantly switching like magnets within two people and two scenarios. Woo! That felt powerful, and that felt really relevant somehow. Probably relevant to me as well then. Anyway, right, let's get some more oracle. Cool, I really love this. I didn't know how this was going to turn out, but I'm really liking it. So I hope you are as well. Let's see. So what else would the crystal skull be telling you? What else would the crystal skull be telling you? The crystal skull would definitely be giving you a lot of innate confidence within yourself. And again, for some reason, this feels like it's playing through with the root chakra rather than the solar plexus, which can obviously be about confidence and stuff. But it feels like this is more like you start really having this innate feeling like, but you have every right to be here. What you say matters, who you are matters, and it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong, because it's not about that. It's just about that this is you and this is who you are, and this is your unique expression and feelings and thoughts in this moment, and it matters. And there's something about that as well that feels like it's incredibly I just see that your aura, for some of you, your aura starts to get bigger as you start to gain this kind of innate confidence from the root chakra upwards. And also this connection of affinity with the earth, and feeling like it's right you're here, and feeling that it's safe that you're here, and feeling that you should be here. And again, this feels like very, very healing from any kind of birth traumas that went off. Your birth might have been perfect, but there might still have been mental, emotional, energetic components that came through in that moment. But it feels like it's very much healing all of that. So it's, for some of you, it's making your aura a lot bigger. And also for some of you, it's just kind of like making the colours of your aura like more defined and distinctive. Okay, let's see, last one. Okay, so let's see what we get. So we have vibrational. This really feels like what I kind of see that they were doing, or the crystal skull was doing with your mind, to do with this whole thing here. Of exaltated feelings, getting your energy in, just sinking everything in to be able to receive that type of frequency. And then we have, I consume only my fair share. instantly, this just also reminds me of everything we were saying here about this communication level, and about making sure that there's always like a constant balanced communication flow between you and another, or you and a scenario. And this just makes me feel as well, like when you get into that space of being able to flip between sometimes I think, sometimes I feel, sometimes listening, sometimes talking, all of those kind of dynamics, it kind of feels like when you're in that moment as well, like a third energy comes in. And this third energy, it almost feels it's like cosmic consciousness. And it's almost like it's there protecting and guiding you and this dynamic and this relationship, to basically help it flourish in the best way possible for both of your souls to basically grow. And we have here, oh wow, I love this. So you actually got, see this picture here is on the back of them, and you actually happen to pull out the card which is the same on the other side. So I feel that's significant, but I'll go into that in a minute. Anyway, this one says Beta of Spirit Wolf. I do feel like, let me just turn this one over and I'll tell you in a minute that one. Oh wow. And then Grandmother Moon, I love this one too. It does definitely feel like, and I felt it here just with the turquoise, it feels very much like some Native American spirit guides or Native American ancestors are currently supporting you and very much being activated to partake in your life even more, with the result of you contacting and holding this crystal skull. Again, like with the Grandmother Moon, this really makes me think about flow, because Moon goes through so many different cycles of things. And again, like we were saying here, keeping a conversation flowing, keeping everything flowing by understanding all different parties. And also, I do think as well, the moon can bring in an energy of insecurity, because things are not necessarily clear. You know what it's like, if just under moonlight, things can appear different to what they are. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I always feel like I start seeing loads of stuff in the dark. And I have to admit, I'm a bit of a wimp with that, and it freaks me out, and I don't like it. So we all have these different areas of like insecurities that get heightened when essentially the visibility or the understanding of something is reduced. And I do really feel like this, the crystal skull, again, this would link into your root chakra and harmonizing your birth and all of that kind of thing. I feel like this crystal skull would be also helping you to feel safe within the mystical, within things that aren't truly known, feeling safe within uncertainty. I really feel like there's that kind of energy that would be coming through a lot. And I feel like you getting safe with some of your insecurities also only helps you to do with all of these conversation dynamics in relationships and that kind of thing, and connections, because you can't ever truly control something outside of you, and definitely not another person. But obviously quite a lot of dramas or dynamics or stuff gets set up because people don't feel comfortable with not being able to control something outside of them. And I really feel like with all of the healing and with all of the insights that would be coming through you holding this crystal skull, you would start to feel so much safer within scenarios that you cannot control, and that therefore would have this knock-on long-term positive effect on all of your relationships. And actually many of your connections and relationships, from work to family to children to partners to the entire lot, would only start to get enhanced and embellished, I'm hearing, because of the fact that you start to feel way more secure in yourself, and you feel safe in situations that aren't clear, in situations that aren't known, again with this Grandmother Moon energy. And to be honest, the wolf also reminds me of quite a moon energy as well. You often see the wolf in the Moon Major Arcana card. So I feel like, to be honest, so much of what would be happening with you holding this crystal skull is also very much about you getting really safe and strong and stable, and truly accepting of yourself and truly accepting of other people, and being able to hold and wait in a space of uncertainty instead of reacting or pushing away or running after something. I don't know, there's like this calmness, there's like this very kind of wise energy that starts to really get even stronger within you as a result of you holding this crystal skull and the information that would come through. And it's kind of like as well, like you are essentially you're going to end up becoming your own mountain of not only security, protection, but also potential. I'm hearing that potential ends up becoming a really big thing, and that's something that comes through the wolf spirit. I don't know why, there's something I think is really cool about it. It's the wolf on that side, it's the wolf on that side. It feels like who you are on the inside is truly going to start to be coming out of you on the outside. And as a result of that, I'm hearing that it also leads you to be able to get more in touch with this whole ecstasy of feelings and emotions, and of really being able to get to the highest joy points of stuff. Because I think you just feel like, just one second, you start feeling and thinking that it's not like you're your own sovereignty. It's more visceral than that. I can't quite get the word. Just give me 1 second, because it's a real sense that's like oozing all out of you by the time you put that crystal skull is taken out of your hands again. And I am also seeing that who put that crystal skull in your hands was actually an ancestor, and it was an elder, and it was an elder from either like a Native American tribe or a Viking tribe. It's got that kind of energy to it, just to add that in. But anyway, yeah, it feels like you end up getting this kind of, what's that feeling? It's you just feel, this is gonna have just come out with words, you just feel good, you just feel right for existing. It's that kind of thing. It's like, it almost like it just feels natural that you exist, and it just feels natural that you are who you are, and it just feels natural that you express who you are, and it just feels natural that you go about life in the way you want to go about life. Just everything starts to feel, I can't really describe it in any other way than it just starts to feel totally natural. Because again, it feels like there's this little bit of a disruption that happened on some level to do with you when you were being born in some way. And that is just something that ends up being a big massive healing throughout you holding this crystal skull, and then the knock-on effect of all of these positive things that it has. I really like that. I don't know why, but I just want to pull one more card. I'm just going to pull one more. We're going to go with these because I love them. So last message that the crystal skull would give you. Another sort of guardian. Okay, this again is like this other type of guardian. In fact, to be honest, it kind of reminds me a little bit of this one, but just from a different direction. Let's say if this was yin, then this was yang, and there does feel like quite a lot of that energy, like obviously yin on the, or yang on the outside, yin on the inside, and even this one I think here look like the masculine and the feminine, the moon and the sun. Yeah, I just feel like there's so much that the crystal skull would basically just be saying it's time for you now to be a fully integrated being. And that's the pathway that you're on, and you're already well on that direction, and it's only going to continue even more. And the more that you go into that direction, and the more that you become a more integrated being with all the different parts of you, the good, the bad, the masculine, the feminine, the highs, the lows, the whole lot of it, the more you integrate that, and the more you are accepting and allowing of all of these different states and parts of yourself, the more creative energy that you get. And this is the thing, the more you feel like this like pan energy, this exaltated energy, the more you feel like earth becomes this like pleasure garden. It just literally becomes like this pleasure garden, and you feel like it's totally right that you would experience it as a pleasure garden, and you feel and think that everybody has the right to experience life as a pleasure garden. That's the kind of feelings and energies that would be coming through. Cool, so I'm going to leave that there. I hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, check out my Instagram and Facebook for those different parts of the crystals blog series or whatever. And I look forward to reading for you guys again soon. And also, yes, you can always get readings from me on abigailgraypsychic.com. I do a whole load: Akashic, astrology, tarot, channeling, the whole lot. So if you're interested, have a look there. And there's also my other YouTube channel, See It Like a Psychic, so check that one out too. But other than that, I loved reading for you. It was awesome. And yeah, so many things to consider, I think. But cool, I love it. And I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this is for everybody that chose message number 2 for what a crystal skull would tell you if you were to hold one right now. So just give me a sec. Okay, message number 2. What would they start saying? The first things I get is literally this. The fear to fly is the fear to act. But to act is to fly. That just sounds so mental. But anyway, just let me feel into that a little bit more. So what I'm really getting really strongly from almost like the very get-go is the crystal skull would just be like to you, you know there's something that you need to be doing right now, and your hesitation to doing whatever this is, whether it's an action, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a choice, whether it's a routine, whatever it is, your kind of slight hesitation and resistance to kind of doing it is stopping this other major thing that you want to happen. And I'm also seeing like a figure of 8, you know, but also like the infinity symbol. And I feel like the crystal skull would really be kind of saying to you, look, literally everything that you're doing right now is all interconnected. And even things that don't seem to be connected, they are completely connected on an abstract, deep soul inner knowing. And it's kind of like recognizing that by not doing this specific thing, it's actually having almost like an anchoring effect of pulling you back in also other and different areas of your life. But as well, the crystal skull would be really like, it's totally okay for you to also take all of the time that you need in order to feel comfortable when you take this actual action or have this conversation or do this routine or apply for this job or whatever the hell it might be. It's totally okay that you take time with this, because it is also really important that you make this choice from a place of feeling just certain that this is now the next thing that you want to do, and then that ends up having massively positive, far-reaching effects. What my spirit guides are now specifically telling me to tell you guys is just feel into yourself what this is, because it feels very, very specific. It feels very, very specific in terms of it is definitely something that you have maybe been contemplating for a long time, or even a short time, or even it's just something that is actually very relevant at this moment in time when you listen to this timeless video. But whatever it is, it feels like you'll know what this thing is that the crystal skull is talking to you about. And it's really, the crystal skull is just encouraging you that essentially that you do know what to do. And even if it might feel, I feel like it might feel either emotionally or mentally uncomfortable, just because again it's taking you outside of your comfort zone on a certain area or in a certain part of your life. And you might be really, really confident and successful in one area of your life, but then in this other area of your life it feels like you have just been learning lots of different things and lots of different lessons. And because you've been learning so many different things and having so many different lessons in this area of life, it's naturally kind of, it's harder to stay feeling confident within yourself when you get lesson after lesson to do with a certain area of your life. It can naturally be quite wearing in some way. And the crystal skull would just want you to know that, but essentially you are good enough to do whatever this next step is. Like, as far as the crystal skull and the universe and life and your spirit guides and your ancestors and the whole of consciousness that's all interconnected, and all of, even I'm hearing like the galactic consciousness, every single part of realities feels like you are now ready to do whatever this next step is or this next action is. And everything is completely supportive of you, whether you can recognize it or not. And so the crystal skull would just be like, what it would say in our lingo, because obviously sometimes you channel like these other dimensional energies can also channel stuff to us through our lingo, and basically it would just say, you've got this, you've totally got this. And I also really can feel like when the crystal skull basically gets that message across to you, that you kind of, I feel like you get a tingling in your body somewhere. It's almost like the hairs on your body stand up somewhere, because you can feel the truth in it, and you can totally feel the truth in it. And there is something actually really exciting about whatever this next step is. Ultimately, once you get past the fear of whatever it is, it becomes incredibly exciting, because essentially whatever it was saying, because I can't remember, something about, you know, the fear to fly, but then flying. I don't know, it's like it will be an amazing feeling. It will be an exhilarating feeling once you head fully down and commit fully down this pathway. And yeah, the crystal skull would just be incredibly supportive of that. I do really feel like when you're holding this crystal skull, you would actually get a really, really itchy, you get two things. You get a really, really itchy third eye, so in the centre of your forehead. And also for some of you, at the back of your head, you would kind of get like a quite sharp stabbing pain. And I'm getting that by you contacting this crystal skull and it contacting you, it really kind of like opens up your psychic and intuitive and your spiritual self to a whole new level. So it kind of feels like if you were holding this crystal skull right now, it would almost be letting you know that you're almost on the brink of a whole new direction or pathway, or I don't know, something new is beginning for you, and something new is beginning for you on very much on a spiritual level, with how you see yourself and how you see the world. And that therefore ends up permeating into all areas of your life. And when you look back in 5 years' time, you recognise this point as being a super significant point to everything that happens and unfolds afterwards. What I would say is though, the things that are going to be unfolding afterwards, they're not like imminent, they're still just a little bit away. And you wouldn't automatically recognise you holding this crystal skull as being almost like the inception of this whole new way of being. It's only like in like 9 months to like 4 years' time that you recognise that this will be this point. And it's all because it starts to open up your perception of yourself and who you are in life and who you are in the world into a whole new way. And I'm hearing that it just becomes incredibly liberating. And I am also seeing like your 8th chakra, so that's kind of like, it's like I always see it more as like a silver moon above your head. It could be quite far above your head. Well, it's different for everybody, but the point is it's not touching, it's off your head, and it's like a silver ball. And I often like will see it as like a glitter ball, but essentially it's almost like a silver moon. That really gets activated as well by you contacting this crystal skull. And I think the crystal skull would really start to, whether you're into meditation or not, it would really get you really into meditation in some type of way. Or it would get you into lucid dreaming, or it would get you into creative visualization, or it would get you into past lives. I don't know, there's something where I always think of the 8th chakra as very multidimensional. It allows you to access different lifetimes, it allows you to access your Akashic records, it allows you to access different transcendental spaces in meditation and in your dream time. And I really feel like that would be activated with you because you were contacting this kind of crystal skull. So on the whole, this pile message, it feels like you would have an incredible, like deeply spiritual experience through contacting this crystal skull. But anyway, let's pull some cards. So, oh, I love this. The sun's come out on your reading. I love it when that happens. And again, to be fair, this feels like this whole thing of like opening up a whole new world to you. Again, really helping you see things in a completely new light. And I do really feel like it would just do something epic to do with your own spirituality for some reason. Let's just see what we get. So message number 2. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm hearing we don't read any of these reversed, so we won't. So the first thing we get is the 3 of Wands. Then we get Six of Swords. Then Conqueror of Swords. I feel like that's the King of Swords. I'm going with the King of Swords with that one anyway. That's what it feels like to me. Then we have, oh wow, Wheel of Fortune. Again, this just makes me think of this real like change up that you would have as a result of holding the crystal skull. Oh wow, Nine of Swords. This is this thing we were talking about, the fear to fly. The fear to take some type of action. But you know what, it would be, whatever this is that you have a fear towards, taking an action or doing a certain thing, it would be incredibly healing, and it would take you to a calmer place within you and within your life. Almost like here, it reminds me of a rose between two thorns. I feel like it would bring a lot of harmony to yourself and also to your own life. And then we have here Queen of Wands. So Queen of Wands and the King of Swords. And then here we have Four of Pentacles. And then here we have, oh wow, Mars. This Mars thing right at the very bottom as well, this definitely to me reconfirms what we were channeling about this thing about taking a certain action, whether that is through a conversation, whether that's a direct action, whether that's a job, a relationship, a routine, a lifestyle choice, a move, a relocation, whatever it is, because it will be different for all of you. It just feels like this crystal skull would be just like, look, it's literally at the very base and root of your reading, and your whole reading kind of comes out of it as a result. And I just feel like at the end, by the end of your session with this crystal skull, not only would it be massively activating like your intuition, your sixth sense, your third eye, it would really, really be kind of like activating your, it's not so much passion, I don't feel that, it's more just like you would be determined now to do the thing that you have been fearing or you have been resisting. You would be fully resolved to do it, and you would know that this is what you wanted to do. Because I'm kind of seeing like with the Four of Pentacles, it's kind of like it's the decision to take the action. It's the decision to take the action and leave the known and familiar, I feel, because you can see these houses in the back, and I feel like she's almost like set her sights out to go on a journey. And it's interesting because often the Four of Pentacles is very much about holding on to something, but what I feel is this is about holding on to what you know you need to do, holding on to what you know is right for you, and you're prepared to, even if it feels uncomfortable, because you'll have to go into the unknown to continue holding on to what you know is true for you and what you know is the next step for you. Even if it makes you feel nervous, you're still completely prepared to go after it. And I do feel as well with the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords here, you could say that these guys are mutually beneficial, because in astrology, fire and air are supposed to go well together. And so it makes me feel as well like by the end of this session with this crystal skull, you don't feel actually, this is more, there's a lot of thoughts that go off for you. You just have a lot of mental clarity about what you need to do next, and you're just prepared to go and do it, and you're prepared to take what feels like a little bit of a chance or a risk in order to keep on with what you know deep down inside you do really need to do. And you feel completely determined to basically face this fear, this false expectation that appears real, and just go for it. And I'm actually hearing that the reason why the crystal skull would really make it clear to you that the reason why you have the fear over doing whatever this is, and like I say, it's different for all of you, is because because essentially it's a really positive thing for you to be doing. It's a really strong move. It really will level you up in some way. It will expand you in some way. It will bring more awesome stuff to you. And so there's a certain level of like, I do feel like with this part, like being worthy of it to some extent. It feels like I feel like on some level this pile might have sometimes made choices where they feel like it's either what they want or what someone or something else wants, and therefore to maintain on your path and do what you want, you've always felt like you had to sometimes isolate others or hermitize yourself or remove others from your life or something like that in order that you can stay on this path. Because I get the feeling that for quite a few of you, you sometimes feel like other people, other humans can massively compromise you on some level. And so there is a bit of this thing about doing things alone. But at the same point, it feels like this feeling of wanting to do things differently and wanting to have way more collaboration and connection in your life. And I do really get that with the Three of Wands as the first card that we came out. The Three of Wands reminds me of it just reminds me of a real collaborative energy, but bigger than just with people. It's like collaborating with life and life's adventures. And again, this real kind of energy of going into the unknown. And to be honest, the Three of Wands and the Six of Swords all both give me that feeling of wanting to go on this new adventure. And again, Mars always wants to go onto a new adventure. And I do kind of get that feeling strongly, but it does just feel like on some level there's a certain hesitancy to go in this direction. There's a certain fear in some way because I don't, the crystal school would be like, look, right now life's not giving you the easy way out. It's not being like, okay, so you know the next move is you need to do whatever it is, and here's a really nice easy way to do it. The crystal school would be like, look, the way it is currently is this is the next best way for you to go, but it's not actually appearing as like the most easiest option. There's some complications, there's some things that you feel uncertain about, there's some overthinking that you're doing, there's some inner anxiety, and that's because it's really trying to pull out your self-worth and your willpower and your determination to follow what deep down inside you really do know is true for you, even when it isn't the easiest option, even when it feels like it's complicated and it's a little bit difficult. And the crystal school would really be like, look, this is the way it is. This is no illusion on the fact that the situation is like this. But it would be like, but there is so much amazing positive change on the other side of this. There is so much amazing positive change on the other side of this. So it kind of feels like a lot of the session that you would have with this crystal skull at this moment in time would be a very, very kind of, a crystal skull would be constantly, it'd be really wanting to reassure you that you can trust yourself, to reassure you that you can trust life, to reassure you as well, like that you don't need to understand and know everything, because a lot of how life works is unexplainable because of this thing that they mentioned to you at the beginning about how every single thing is interconnected right now, and by you not taking an action in a certain way, that also has repercussions on all of these other areas of your life, because just at the current moment so many things are interconnected for you. But because that interconnection is so much bigger than what a human consciousness could possibly comprehend, you have to come down to trust, and you have to come down to trusting yourself, what you know deep down inside, what you know your lessons are, what you know the direction is that you're going in, and all of that kind of thing. But it's kind of like, I'm hearing pina colada, but it's kind of like, it feels that on the other side of this, once you go through it, once you take that action, once you do the thing, there's literally this amazing cocktail waiting for you in an amazing situation, and you will get to enjoy and savor everything that you've gone through and that you're now experiencing as a result of basically facing your fear of flying. And that fear of flying is really, I'm being told by the crystal school would tell you, the fear of flying is really just a fear of being your highest self, of being your highest potential in a situation, of receiving so much awesome stuff, like to be recognized either by another or by a job or by a situation or by life itself or even by yourself, whatever it might be. There's a huge amount of, I feel like, recognition that is going to be coming to you as a result of you going through this situation and stepping up in that type of way, which feels, to be honest, totally awesome. let's just pull some more cards to just get a little bit more info about what's going on. The crystal skull would also tell you that to do with like overthinking, because it definitely does feel like there's some overthinking that's going on with this pile for sure. Ooh, surrender. Just flip straight out. I mean, yeah, this is the big thing anyway, to do with, I'll show you just because it's come out, to do with overthinking. This is this thing about you don't have to understand everything. You don't have to, sometimes it is just about letting go and going with the flow and just trusting that it will work itself out. That kind of feels like that's an important thing coming through. But also, anyway, before that happened, what I was going to say is the crystal skull would be saying that the thing with the overthinking is you really just need to look at kind of balancing out your third chakra, your sixth chakra, the third eye chakra on your forehead. And essentially as well, it's just about, the crystal skull would even be like, just watch how many times you frown a day. Literally, just pay attention to, do you frown at night? All of these things will tell you that you're just not trusting some kind of inner guidance that's coming through to you, or that you're feeling stressed in some way. So meditating on your sixth chakra and really working to pay attention to relaxing, like how much you hold tension in your forehead, would all be a sign that you are, it would be another way of controlling anxiety and overthinking to some extent. Let's see. Okay, I think that's all of them. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, so we have, wow, I am accepting. So you see this accepting and this surrender energy, this is the thing. I think it's, you have had the call to adventure. Whatever it is, I feel like this pile has had the call to adventure. You know what it is. It isn't straightforward. It does hold lots of nervousness and hesitation for you. It does mean that you have to go about something in a very different way, but the crystal skull would be really encouraging you that all will be well if you go in that direction. And then we get this card. I don't know how you say that, the Oracle of Kalaldi. Again, what I feel with this is, I do feel like you do know what it is that the crystal skull is talking to you about. I do feel like you've probably known about this for quite some time, and I do feel like deep down inside you will know what you need to do, because it's almost like you've already had this kind of, I feel like the three fates have been chatting to you on different levels of consciousness, and the three fates have been chatting to you through other people and situations, and I feel like the same message is all coming through to encourage you, to support you to go in a certain direction, even though it makes you feel apprehensive and nervous. And the crystal skull would really just be saying to you, look, pay attention as well. After this session, pay attention as well to what similar messages keep reoccurring, both in your intuition, both from other people, and like listen to the space in between spaces. It's not always what everybody's saying, it's also sometimes what they are not saying. That can be a really powerful thing. And so as well, like I feel like you'll come out of this holding this crystal and you would feel very, very, like, I don't know, it's like the crystal skull kind of switches on some kind of like street smart part within you, and street smart to do with reading your environment, reading your immediate environment. It's like a very kind of like Gemini Mercury energy. If it was to do with, let's say, a birth chart and an astrology energy, it's like activating those frequencies of quick thought, but quick dynamic thought. Because one thing that I do feel as the crystal skull would be saying is just be careful that you don't get fixed in a certain thought pattern. Because for some of you, there's been a certain thought pattern that you've got, and this thought pattern reinforces this whole fear of taking a certain action or doing a certain thing. And essentially, you do, it just feels that your third eye chakra almost gets, it sounds weird, loosened and pulled out of your forehead just a little bit, just so it can breathe a bit more. Because I feel like there's been so much overthinking, it's caused quite a lot of compression on your third you know, your third eye chakra. And I think for some of you this might mean that you've not been sleeping so well at night, or some of you might be getting headaches, or some of you might even been getting like I don't know, like a bit of neck and shoulder pain, something like that, just because there's been like this overthinking, but a fixation with thinking in the same way, and it's causing a huge amount of tension. But I do really feel like after the presence of this crystal skull, you leave feeling like so much pressure is basically taken off your forehead and taken off your shoulders, and you literally feel like you can breathe deeper, and actually your heart just chakra becomes more open, because all of this compression and overthinking was almost like causing your shoulders to kind of like cave in around your chest, and it was pulling your heart chakra into your chest, and it was almost like reducing the amount of oxygen that you could get into your body, and all of this was putting you into this space of like fight and flight, when actually what the crystal skull does is it's almost like it gives you the most incredible, it just loosens off all of these points of tension on your cranial and around your sinuses and around your jaw, your TMJ joint, just releases all of these pressures just by you holding the crystal skull. And in doing that, like I say, it just kind of completely resets you to do with how you're thinking about this certain situation. And by the time you do leave this session, again, I feel like the other pile, and it'd be interesting to see if pile 3 has this, the other pile, I feel like there's a number of nights where basically, actually yours is slightly different. Yeah, I feel like there's a number of nights where the crystal skull would actually physically visit you in your dreams, and you would be holding it again in like 5-dimensional reality in dream time. And again, it would all be working on all of these pressure points in your cranial and like your TMJ, and it just kind of feels like it's also helping you like loosen up whatever this fixated pattern is that you have, because it feels like this fixated thought pattern is so strong and powerful, and it's creating such strong feelings of fear or inertia in whatever way it might be, because it really comes from other lifetimes. And it doesn't just come from other lifetimes, it also comes from some multi-dimensional lifetimes. And again, this was this whole thing about everything is so interconnected for you guys at the moment. And I just feel like after 2 weeks from the first time that you hold this crystal skull and the additional sessions that you would have in your dream time, you just end up being so powerfully clear in your mind about what you're going to do. And then you start to interpret when is the best time for you to take this action or make this decision or talk to this person or go for this job or move or whatever it might be. And it just becomes a very, very powerful experience, so that in the future, when you get into these situations again, because we all do, right, you're able to handle it faster and quicker and more effectively, because this becomes, it's almost like this crystal skull gives you a complete downloading of the tools and techniques for you to use when you're in a space of having to go into fear of something that you've had a long fear, a held belief about, or a very fixed belief about. So it's like incredibly powerful. No way. Recognition. Yeah, totally. Now, you know what, I can't even remember now because some of these videos go all into one when I'm channeling, but I know recognition it's either come up in this one or it came up in the other reading. I just feel like it just goes really, really well when you take this action into this space of unknown, into this place where you have a fear, into this place where essentially I feel like you might have been trying to talk yourself out of doing it in some way. And actually, you do realise at the end of this session with this crystal skull that without doubt this is the way to move forward. And as a result, it just almost reminds me of, this is reminding me of a 6 of Wands type of energy, recognition. Not only do you recognise the success to be had by taking this action, by doing this thing, but as a result of you then taking that successful action, you then get recognised by your reality, your environment, and everyone around you also as being successful in that area. And again, this reminds me of that whole infinity symbol type of energy. Yeah. Cool. I really do think that's everything that you would get from that crystal skull. yeah, so just basically if you want to know what to do as well, look at your third eye chakra, look at your 8th chakra, and just look at doing things to just relax and stop your mind wandering. Like, everybody has different tools and techniques. For me, I have a shower. I don't know why. I have showers. I like to do baths, but sometimes they take too long. So like, I'll have a shower, and it will just, because I get things more, I won't overthink, but it's more like my energy field gets jammed up and my emotions, and it gets into anxiety. And just by me having a shower, it just feels like it just discharges all of that stress. So that's kind of like one of my tools. My other thing is having a sauna. Same sort of thing. For some reason, it just feels like it pulls out all the crap and all the distorted thoughts and feelings within me, and again, I just sweat it out, and that always feels like a really good tool for me. So I think it's also about finding whatever tools, very physical, very practical physical tools that you can use when you get into a state of overthinking or anxiety, because this will also help you push through whatever is going on. But yeah, that is everything that I have for you. So I hope you enjoyed that reading. You can also find me on my other YouTube channel, See It Like a Psychic. If you like personal readings, you can go to my website, abigailgracepsychic.com. I'll leave all the links below. And also, if you want to have a look at my social media for those posts and blogs all about crystals, the different parts, I think there's about 5 parts, then go and check me out on Abigail Grace Psychic again. But other than that, it was great to read for you, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Cool. Bye. Hi guys, so this is everybody that chose message number 3 for what a crystal skull would tell you if you were to hold it. Sorry, instantly my throat's just like clamping down. Interesting. So basically the first thing that the crystal skull would actually do is it would actually do what it's just done to me. It would suddenly just make your throat feel really, really tickly, and then it would feel quite tight and dry. And I'm hearing that it's because you just have basically nervous, excited anticipation about actually just holding this crystal skull. Like, there's something like really childlike and playful and curious about your energy. It's almost like the energy of a little kid waiting to see Father Christmas. You've got this kind of, you're so intrigued and excited and interested by actually getting to be in the presence of the crystal skull, and you're excited about what it's going to tell you. And so then what happens is, as soon as that then happens with your throat, there's then like this really like cool breeze that kind of like you feel like blows all the way around you. And actually what it does, and ironically I wouldn't have thought this, but what it does is it just calms your energy down and it grounds it all. Because the crystal skull is really aware that in order for you to get the most out of your session with it, first of all you need to be in a more calm, receptive state. So the first thing that it does is it just calms down your energy. And one of the things that it will just say to you from the beginning is, it's amazing that you have such a excitable, energizing type of energy, but just also be mindful that sometimes that can cause hiccups with things, just because sometimes there just needs to be a little bit more thought, consideration or grounded action with what you do in order for you to get the best results. And it feels like with you on this pile, like you instantly recognize, oh yeah, no, that does make so much sense. And again, I feel like with you connect on a very kind of like an emotional heart level with the crystal skull. It was interesting, like message number 2 is very much on a head level. And to be honest, message number 1 was very much on a body level, but you guys, you feel like you connect with the crystal on a real kind of, on a heart level. And this is going to sound so weird, but I'm going to say it because it's what's coming through. I'm getting the feeling that in a different reality, on like a different dimension, you're almost like, don't know, you have a very similar energy, kind of consciousness field to the crystal skull. So I don't want to say that you're like friends in another dimension, because to be honest, the crystal skull doesn't look like a crystal skull in a different dimension. It looks completely different. But then again, so do you. And it just feels like both of you have almost like, a synergy. There's a real synergy that goes on, and it almost feels a bit like getting back in touch with a long lost friend or a long lost lover that you had a lot of affection and connection with. And that sounds so bizarre, I know, to say that about the crystal skull, but that's just completely what I'm feeling. And I think it also describes almost, I suppose it was like a frog in your throat, and it was like butterflies in your stomach type of feeling when you first came in contact with the crystal skull. And this kind of, it's just really making me feel as well like there's somebody, I do feel like there's somebody, either a friend or a lover or even a child or even a pet, you know. I just feel like somebody, some soul is on its way to you, is journeying to you at this moment, and in some way there's something about the crystal skull that kind of really unconsciously activates that realization within you. And again, that's why you got the frog in your throat and the butterflies in your stomach type of feeling. So I'm also really feeling that essentially this crystal skull session, it's very much actually about getting you, it's not about healing, it's not about really telling you anything in particular, it's more just about aligning you to be ready to receive what is coming, essentially. Like, I mean, it doesn't even feel like preparing, because I feel like you are already prepared. It just feels like this is a bit more of an aligning thing. And as I say that as well, I can kind of see this kind of like, I haven't actually seen this before, but like from the center of the cosmos all the way down to the center of the earth, there's like a line, a white line, and then you're right in the middle of that white line. And then all of your chakras, your 12 chakras and more, they're all getting like spun around that line that's going all the way through you, all the way from the centre of the cosmos to the centre of the earth. Don't know why my throat's really clamping down on this. And it's kind of, I'm hearing as well that it's getting you into a place where you become a true expression of who you are, and that you actually feel excited to start to share yourself with another or with the world in some way. But there's also a little bit of hesitancy and a little bit of like, I know, it's like this is the vision that I'm getting shown, and I'm getting shown it again to do with like children and animals. So basically, you know, when you see like meet a little kid for the first time, or sometimes like a little animal for the first time, they're like, I don't know, they kind of hide behind their owner or their parent, and then they like stick their head out to you and they sort of smile, but then they sort of like put the head back again, and like they play this little game, right, where they're kind of nervous but they're kind of curious as well. And you're kind of currently in that state energetically to do with what is coming for you. And some of you might be aware that something is on its way to you, because you might be aware that certain things in your life are now starting to align or realign better, or you just feel like you've gone through a big lesson and you now feel energized in some way. There's that sort of energy coming through, but it feels like you're still in this place of like that, like I say, the little kid, like the little animal that kind of wants to come and play, wants to come and say hi, but is also a bit nervous. So again, it just feels like this crystal skull is just helping you just again like calm things down a little bit, like calm things down, just make things feel normal and make things feel natural. And the moment that you feel natural and normal about what's coming, that's when what's coming comes, essentially. So yeah, I mean, I'm 100% just getting that. Now let's just pull some cards. Okay, so what would the crystal skull say to message number 3? Again, I'm hearing that we don't read these cards reversed. So also, the crystal skull would also really want you to know, essentially, just basically carry on doing what you're doing. keep doing what you're doing. And I do feel like this pile has very much been surrendering and listening to their intuition and kind of following it. And I feel like any sort of difficulties that you've been having, because let's face it, I mean, just life, we get stuff going on, that's totally normal, not a big deal. I feel like you guys can work through it pretty quickly, because I feel like something's happened where you've released dogma about something in particular, like a fixation that you might have had with someone, an idea, a dream, a goal, a scenario, or even what somebody should be doing. I don't know, because it's different for all of you. I feel like that fixation of how it should be, that dogma of how it should be, you've kind of released it. And as a result of that, it just means that lots of other things that could cause resistance in your life or could cause a problem actually fade away before they even get into a place of complexity, because you're just not holding that space of getting stalled and stuck within resistance. Cool, anyway, let's see what we get. Wow, so this is the Initiator. It's like the Magician in this card. So that is the first one to open your reading, and it's right at the very center. Then we get Conqueror of Coins. I think Conqueror of Coins for this one is, I'm going to go with, it's the Queen of Coins. The Queen of Pentacles is what I feel with this one. And then here we have the Nine of Cups. So again, some kind of, I always like it when tarot readers say Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. I just think it sounds like the nicest thing. But I do definitely as well get with this, it's more than just wish fulfillment. This feels like it's emotional fulfillment. I feel like you're totally heading in a direction of emotional fulfillment because you have previously grounded something into your life and you've become more secure and more stable to do with a certain thing, idea, belief, action, whatever it is. And therefore that's now given you a place to easily spring into a place of emotional fulfillment and wish fulfillment. But let's just see what's also going on here. Okay, so here we have the Seven of Wands and the Two of Swords. And again, just because of how I was reading this, I feel like this is where you are now, this is where you have been, this is where you're going to. So again, it just tells me that in the past, I do think you've definitely had to work through a conflict or something. And like I say, quite literally what I said, I feel like you've worked through and you've let go of a fixation or a dogma about something in your life or someone in your life or the way that something or someone should be in your life. I feel like you've worked through that, you've let it go, you've grounded in a much more accepting, nurturing and supportive approach to whatever this is, both to do with you and to do with the world or another person. And as a result of that, you're now in a powerful position to start manifesting what it is that you want. Oh, no friggin' way. And then boom, we get the Fool. I always friggin' love the Fool. And we get another Nine of Cups. So again, that is, we have two Nine of Cups here. So we have two wish fulfillments. This, for some reason, makes me feel, again, I do feel like it is definitely related to... Actually, no, I'm not going to say just yet. Because actually what the Crystal School would say to you is, part of you would be like, oh, what is this? What is this wish fulfillment coming? What's it going to be? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Is it going to be the other? Is it this person? Is it that person? And the Crystal School would just be like, you know what? The less you need to know what it is, the more it will be in the future. So the less that you collapse down the possibilities of the reality that it could be, the more open you are to it being many things beyond just one thing that your mind would want to collapse that reality into. Because again, I do feel like with the Nine of Cups twice, there is more than one thing on its way to you. There is more than one wish fulfillment. And interestingly, I do feel like with the Fool in between the two, I actually, these two look like they're kind of jumping towards each other, because I don't know if you can see. I always think that looks like a figure of a man. I don't know if you can see it. It feels like this is moving in this direction and then he's obviously moving in that direction. And it just feels to me that there is a meeting of two things. You and something else or someone else or another scenario, etc. are literally, you're literally coming towards each other. And this feels like... the truth is, like what the Crystal School would tell you is, I'm not going into any more of that because just be excited enough to know that it's on its way. And now just start feeling into that and just let the magic happen as it happens, and just keep following where there is flow, keep following also what logically makes sense. You need to do the both, I'm hearing, because I'm almost hearing that the Nine of Cups twice. It's like one is feminine energy and one is masculine energy, but they're both the same energy, which is the Nine of Cups. And it very much feels like you just need to carry on making sure that you are both following your emotions and following your intuition, but at the same time following the logic and following practical steps. And as my dad would say, he's a Capricorn, and it's so funny, he's like, follow the money, follow the money. So it's that kind of energy. And obviously, if we just want to say that money is just an abstract concept of something which allows you to create what might be in your head and make it real, right? Think about money in that kind of way. That's the kind of thing of follow the money. Like, follow the thing that will allow you to expand and grow and build and create. That's what I'm really hearing, because this feels like a very, very creative energy. And what I do actually feel with you guys is, and I do love this, is I can see as you're holding the crystal skull, it's basically doing this thing where you suddenly feel like it transports you into like a chamber, and it's like a massive, massive chamber, like, you know, like a temple, but it's like a temple made out of some like crazy crystal, which I don't even think exists in our reality. And again, there's like this cool breeze energy to it, but at the same time you feel really warm inside, so it's kind of a really interesting feeling. And it just feels like the crystal skull is really just trying to give you a whole load of different scenarios, situations and experience in its session with you of how creative reality is, and how almost the more that you cannot control an event, the more that an event can give you. Because again, it feels like, because this pile here, when you're holding the crystal skull, on the whole you're in quite a good place within your life. So you're quite open, you're quite relaxed, you're quite stable, you're quite confident. So therefore, when you come into the power of the crystal skull is able to work with you in an even more open and creative and dynamic way. And you're like the only pile where you've been holding the crystal skull, and the crystal skull has transported you to another reality to show you something very, very different. And that just feels, because that's really part about where you're at. Like, you have let go of a strong dogma, and letting go of this strong dogma and fixed belief is literally allowing so much more stuff to come into your life. And there is also this it's not like a healing, it's more like I feel like it's like an Atlantis, because you kind of feel like it's taking you to Atlantis, or that's the type of energy that it feels. And it does also make me feel as well that this power would be really effective with working with crystals right now as well, because I get the feeling that Atlantis really did work with crystal technology a lot, but in ways that we don't even understand about now. And I do really feel like they work with crystals and light a lot as well. And yeah, I feel like you guys could probably do something with crystals right now if you wanted to heal your energy with it, or amplify your energy, you wanted to do an intention, or you just wanted to cleanse the room with it. If that feels right for you, then go with it, but that's kind of what I'm feeling. But also, when you're in this kind of like crystal Atlantean temple that the crystal skull has transported you to, what happens is, you know how I said to you, I can feel your really heart connected to this crystal skull? The crystal skull kind of like sends out this energy into your heart chakra, and then the energy that goes into your heart chakra kind of shoots up into your soul star chakra, the gold star above your head, and then it shoots down to the earth star chakra, the silver star below your feet, and then it kind of creates like this incredible, I don't want to say it's a force field, but it feels more like, I don't know, like a blaze of light all the way around you, in almost like a bubble type thing. And it kind of looks like, weirdly enough, it looks like the, you know, if you were to see the earth and the crystal grids of the earth that are all interconnected and all interlaced, and they make like a lattice pattern around the earth, it feels like that is literally what I'm seeing around you that gets activated. And again, it just feels like what the crystal skull is doing is, again, it's getting you in this place of, really grounding you into your highest potential and grounding you into your own frequency, but doing it in a way which is incredibly harmonious with the environment that you're currently part of, i.e. Earth. And I feel like that's why it's doing this thing of involving your heart chakra, your soul star chakra and your earth star chakra, and connecting them in together with you in almost like the same format as what the planet Earth's crystal grid is like. Because in some way that's not only going to just amplify your ability to manifest and coexist on the earth, but there's also something about it will bring people, situations or scenarios to you, or it will give you ideas, or it will stimulate you to do things which kind of like are for the greater good. Like they're so beneficial to more than just you. Again, it's like so very interconnected, it's very collaborative. It's like, oh, what's that shamanic thing? It's like shamans all believe that we all have a certain gift, and our gift is also the gift to the world, and they call it a specific thing. I think it begins with R. I really can't remember. But anyway, it reminds me like you're getting activated to do with that. So I do also feel like by the time you come out of this crystal session, I'm hearing for like the next 6 months after that session, you kind of have a constant on and off stream of new ideas, meeting new people, new inspirations, collaborations. I just feel like there's lots of creative energy around you, and lots of movement. Just feels really good. Now let me just get a couple more. So, what the crystal skull tell pile number 3? You know what the crystal skull would kind of like say to you? It's like a good idea for you guys to do something like, not for healing, but purely just for more alignment of yourself. So almost like, if you would go and have Reiki because there was a problem, like this time you would go and have Reiki just because you want to be even more aligned to yourself. Like it's about starting to use healing modalities in a way more creative way, where you no longer need to use them per se for healing. Now it's more about using these healing modalities to thrive even more, to amplify your energy even more, to get even more, like I say, coherent and aligned, which will ultimately make you more powerful. So if any of you guys are called to do anything particular, I mean, it could be any type of healing modality, anything that people usually use when something goes wrong or something isn't right, like Reiki, acupuncture, Chiro, shamanic stuff, even a tarot reading, you know, whatever it might be. This time it's about using all of these tools for like amplification rather than for because something's wrong or because you're not sure about something. And I'm hearing that that's essentially what the people in Atlantis would do. Yes, they would do healing, but as much as there would be healing, a lot of these healing forms would also be used for manifesting and for ideas creation and basically for progression of society, and actually going into new unknown places and phases and realities to essentially amplify and grow even more abundance and success and happiness in their own lives. I feel like we want one. Wow, whoops, it's too many. I feel like we want one more of these. So as well, I feel like for this pile, the crystal skull is very much, it feels very kind of Aquarius, like very kind of future thinking, forward thinking. It's very kind of, I don't know, creating into the future type of energy is what I feel. Let's go with this one first. Aura of Gamma, Aurora of Gamma even. By the way, I don't know what these cards mean, so I'm just going to read them intuitively. So I'm just getting quite a few things off that. Oh wow, there we go. I advance through my own abilities. And you see, then this is this thing again. It's like advancing through strengths and potential rather than advancing through healing an old wound or reconciling something from the past. But I'll go into all of that in more detail. Then we have knowledge. now. Then we have Dream Shield. Love these cards. Oh, nice. Then we have Spirit of the Bear. Oh my god, I love the bear power animal. You know what, I don't have a bear power animal. In fact, actually, I've done a post on this on Instagram and Facebook, so have a look. I think it's a post that's got like a picture of a gorilla, a spider, a wolf, and a hummingbird on it. But basically, I talk about the fact that sometimes you don't just need your own power animals to help you. Sometimes you need other people's power animals to also support you. And for example, I don't have a bear power animal at all. But to be honest, many of the important men in particular that come into my life, they all have bear power animals. And whenever I'm scared, particularly I get a little bit scared in the dark, because I start to see things and I just don't always like it. I always call in a bear power animal just to kind of like support me and keep me safe. And actually, to be honest, just what I'm just saying there, and then this one here, I advance through my own abilities. I feel like some of you have got a skill or got an ability which could be even more heightened, even more advanced, but there's a little bit of fear that maybe holds you back in some way. Like, it's not so much fear, it's not fear, it's just that you don't feel totally safe. But what I'm hearing is the more safe that you feel in your own life, and you might also find that the person or the situation or the scenario or the pet or whoever is on their way to you or whatever is on their way to you, as we channeled in the beginning, when you're with them and their energy is blending with your energy, you'll probably find you feel a lot more safe, and in feeling more safe you allow some of these abilities to come out of you even more. An example for me is, for some reason, when I've been around a certain bear person, I start to see colours around people just spontaneously. Like, I get that when I do green juicing and stuff, but this was just happening regardless, and I couldn't work out what it was at first, because I've always been really, I know I have that ability to see things, but also knowing I have that ability also freaks me out and it makes me feel a bit scared. So, but anyway, when I was around this person, because I know I generally felt very safe with them, just on multiple different levels, and I also felt like their soul was always protecting my soul in a way, it made me feel safer to open up and allow some of these other gifts that usually I feel quite intimidated by to actually start coming out and enhancing. And so I do kind of feel like that energy is kind of on its way for you guys in this pile. And I also do just feel like this is something that having a session with the crystal skull in itself anyway would just bring out of you. I think, again, like we saw that it was like talking about grounding your energy in the very beginning, in the very, very beginning bit when we were channeling, it kind of feels that it just feels like that's partly, the more grounded you feel, the more stable and safe you feel, the more that you are able to open up and start using and specifically start sharing some of these amazing gifts that you have. And obviously we all have different gifts, right? It could be science, it could be art, it could be with children, it could be communication, it could be design, it could be maths, it could be business, it could be economics, it could be psychic, it could be psychology. I mean, with so many different gifts that we have, and that's just some that come off the top of my head. But I just feel like the more stable and secure you are in your own life, the more that you're able to go into some of these really incredible skills that you have. And I would also say that whether you're aware of it or not, in your dream time, you are actually often doing and learning things to do with whatever this skill and ability is that you have. A bit like, I know people like Einstein, Tesla, who's the other one? Edison. I do know that all of them got ideas while they were dreaming that specifically helped them advance their understanding of their topic, etc., and help them get massive breakthroughs. And I do feel this is the exact same thing that happens to you. So if you wake up with ideas in the morning, I think they're really important to consider. And also know that dream time, when ideas can come to us, it isn't just when we're sleeping, it's also when we're daydreaming. Sometimes you just daydream and you just kind of get an idea. And I think it's really important that you guys stay open to all of this, because particularly with the Nine of Cups twice, I don't know, this reminds me of, for some reason it's making me, or it makes me think of the 11th house in astrology. And 11th house can be wish come true, wish fulfillment, but it's also ruled by Uranus and Aquarius. And both Uranus and Aquarius are amazing at kind of like tapping into collective consciousness, but more than that, tapping in almost to the Akashic consciousness. So being able to read the Akashic records without even realizing. And from my point of view, Einstein and Tesla and all of these people are getting their ideas in daydreams and also dream time, because they are channeling through the Akashic records, and they're channeling through the Akashic records their topic, and they're having conversations with different beings from different dimensions and even different human beings in that dream time, in that daydream time, during those Akashic kind of moments that we all have anyway, whether we're aware of them or not. And I do just think this is something where you come out of this session with the crystal skull like way more aware of your ability to connect with that type of consciousness. So it's almost like some of you start to become really interested in reading the Akashic records, or I don't know, there's something about this, or some of you become just very open to these ideas that kind of come spontaneously out of nowhere, and you really, really start trusting them. So it's very much a kind of channeling energy as well. And I do kind of get that with this as well, like a channeling energy. But for some reason I get the idea that, I don't know, like I feel like the crystal skull tries to show you that essentially many different beings and energies are currently trying to work with you, and even different people on earth right now that you maybe are not in communication with, or you maybe never even know of, are all still working with you in a different type of space, because stuff is happening to you outside of, like, I don't know, like your knowledge of things is growing in a way that is totally abstract and non-linear, and that's all part of the process that you're in, and that's all part of the fact that everything we talked about here, letting go of a dogma, grounding in some stability, and then moving off and being very open and flexible, and very kind of freeing with your energy and open with your energy. It means all of these other things can start to come through. But I do really feel, because we said in the very beginning as well about, you know, when that cool breeze came to just kind of ground your energy a little bit, because you got to be careful that this almost like enlightened, buzzing, amazing, liberated energy doesn't also take you to another extreme of like chaos, because it all just becomes too much, and then it goes into, I don't know, a chaotic order. And I do feel like as well, this is what the spirit of the bear is here for, and this is, again, it reoccurs, that message the crystal school was saying to you, that it is really important to just make sure that you're grounding your energy, and just make sure that you're making choices which are both logical and intuitive, like both have equal value for you. And I do really feel like there's a thing about being very, very responsible. It's definitely about having some kind of being very, very responsible with what you are doing going forward, because there's something about, because I always think of like the bear energy is, it can be a really responsible, protective, caring, but also a very leadership type of energy. And I feel like it's important to, it's not that you necessarily have to be a leader, although you could be if you wanted to, but it's more that it's good for you to embody characteristics that make a successful leader, because essentially it will help make you successful in the next part of your life, whether that is a relationship, a job, a relocation, whatever it is. By embodying the qualities of a successful leader, you will have a successful outcome with whatever is this next venture. And that's what I feel really, really strongly. And I know this is a crazy one, but I'm just going to put it out there, because for some of you, this is what the crystal skull would say to you. The crystal skull would say to you, play about a little bit with this idea of how you can develop knowledge, because you can actually sometimes buy a book, read a tiny bit, and somehow understand the whole entire book without reading it. And that's not just something that a few people can do. We can all do that, and it's very much, it's connected into an Akashic kind of energy as well, and the fact that we're all interconnected, and the fact that you don't have barriers up or certain dogmas up about how you can absorb and receive information. So the crystal skull would really encourage you to play about with that. The crystal skull would also really encourage you to play about with the fact of, listen to people talking, and listen to those people who fully embody what it is that they say, because again, you will find that you absorb that information so much quicker, faster and deeper. So yeah, I think as well, as much as the Crystal School would tell you to be grounded and to be practical, the Crystal School would actually tell you to be very creative and curious and open and playful when it comes to how you learn things. And again, this reminds me of a very kind of like Gemini-ish energy. Yeah, it's really got that kind of vibe going on. Yeah, that feels like pretty much everything that the school would say. The only one other thing that it would do is, after you've had the session with it, I feel like your jaw would feel a little bit weird. It wouldn't hurt and it wouldn't ache, but it would just feel like sometimes when you were talking, you'd feel like there was a little bit of an echo somehow, because it was something to do with your jawbone and your ears, that the Crystal Skull is just kind of like slightly, in fact you do have chakras in your ears, and it feels like it's slightly attuned your ears to be able to better hear and communicate with your environment. And that's all part of some skills that you required when you go off into this double loaded like wish fulfillment of whatever is coming, because it's something about being able to hear it's coming is important. I really kind of get that vibe. Cool. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I would say about all of this. I hope you enjoyed that reading. I really enjoyed reading for you. Check out my other YouTube channel on See It Like a Psychic. I post lots of different psychic information on there. You can also get a reading from me on Abigail Grace Psychic, my website. I do lots of different ones there. And also you can find me on social media. It's always Abigail Grace Psychic. I'm like on Facebook, Instagram and some other ones. And yeah, if you do feel like working with crystals, because I think crystals could be really useful with where you're at, I'm doing this post blog series at the moment of like part 1 to part 5 or 6, all about how to work with crystals. So check that out if you feel like it resonates with you. But other than that, I think it all sounds pretty cool, and I'd love to know, what is this coming for you? What is the double down of 2 wish fulfillments? I feel like one's a masculine energy thing and one's a feminine energy thing. So one's maybe a relating type of thing and one's maybe more of a career-y sort of practically type of thing. But anyway, I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye.